Welcome everybody to the 33rd week of the year. Today we have readings which are quite upsetting because they remind us of the end of everything. They remind us that everything comes to an end, even ourselves, as we know. And we need to be reminded so that we may direct or redirect our actions, our initiatives in life, so that we don't get carried away and be caught in the dark when that hour comes. When I was young, I saw a grave opened. I was only 9 years old. And up on the side, I saw the bones of the generations gone by, of the people who lived before this man that was about to be buried. I was very disturbed, and I realized for the first time that everyone dies. It was a harsh lesson, I think, at that hour. But it was a good lesson, although it affected me for weeks. But then you get used to that idea and you say, well, that is life. But at that age, not very easy. Then, as a young priest, I was troubled that the generation above me, meaning my parents, my uncles, my aunts, my neighbors who were of the same agement, they were all going to die. And in fact, in 1983, many people were dying of my parents' generation. So it struck me the inevitability of death and how disturbing that is. And as a young priest, one would think you should have sorted all this out. But no, life is about opening up to the possibilities, to the realities of life, which are harsh sometimes. You may learn about it in a book. Yes, we all die, but you don't think about it. But then when you see it in action, then it begins to worry you. It worried me quite a bit. But then, when the time came for my parents and my uncles and my aunts, especially my parents, to pass on, I was well able to accept that. It was actually a sort of relief. Not that they were gone, but there was a joy and a resignation, a joy in the resignation to that fact, and a giving over to God. And I learned a lot then that you should never worry. The things you worry about will not happen. The things that you fear most usually do not happen. So there's a greater power as well at work. God will help you and me through all these difficulties. And all that we see today in the gospel especially is very frightening. The earth getting dark, the moon losing its light, the sun going dark, people rising from the dead, Judgment Day. All this is very frightening. But with God, we know we can survive. We can face that. In Africa, I see great examples of faith. Faith in people who accept death. And yes, yet there is great mourning and sadness and loss and grief. And in fact, when you visit a funeral house, you will be shocked at the crying and the way people are so affected by the death of their loved one. But you see, time passes, not so much that time heals. I think it's faith, the faith of people, certainly that I have met. It comes true that in the end they are resigned to the fact that their loved one, no matter what age, has passed on, and they've given him back or her back to the Lord. I've learned a lot from being in Africa. People get on with life, knowing that all things come to an end and that there is a greater purpose in life. How do we prepare? I have 4 ways in which we can prepare for the unknown. Number 1, don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. We're not meant to be frightened. God knows our fears. Bring it to the Lord. He will pacify us and help us in our fears. Try and be good. Don't owe anything to anybody at any time. Or as quick as possible, give back what you owe. Either money, it might be money, or it might be an apology. Do it. Do the apology. Might be to be reconciled. Be reconciled as quickly as possible. That's number 2. Number 3, don't waste your life on conflicts. Avoid them. Also avoid senseless pleasures that don't last. Give time to God in prayer and in meditation, and do things that nurture your mind, your thoughts, and your heart. Remember, number 4, remember to pray for the dead. Pray for the dead. This is one of our duties. Do not forget them. Pope Francis said that in contemplating death, we are reminded of our ultimate purpose. What is the purpose of our life? Why are we here? And how the choices we make here on earth will determine whether we eventually spend eternity in heaven. He said this in 2017. It's a great way to finish. Let us be on watch at all times and be aware, but not morbidly living our lives. Live our lives with great joy and happiness, knowing that even though we are sinners, the good Lord has forgiven us by his death on the cross, and we are destined for eternal life.